in that roof, and she started making poetry right out of her mouth. And then she said, how about that woman's blouse up 2 seats ahead of us? What about, she got it. I mean, after 90-some years of being uneducated about it, or miseducated, which is more likely, she got it. And that's really all it is. So take heart, people. One other thing I want to say, Humanities Washington. I want to repeat everything that's been said tonight about Humanities Washington. I wrote a book called First Families of Vancouver's African American Community from World War II to the 21st Century, and that was a community project that we all did together, and I was the interviewer and the writer. I talked to members of 35 families and put their stories all together in a book. And when we started out, we wrote a grant to Humanities Washington, got that grant. First time I ever got a grant right out of the box. They were wonderful. They were great to work with. So if you like this, if you like what they're doing, go on their website and find out what they're doing and support them with your money and your labor, and congratulate them and thank them more than you think you need to, because they do need to hear from us. Those organizations, the effective organizations like that are always on the brink, and they need our help. And then finally, I want to dedicate my reading tonight to Barbara LaMorticella, who is a farmer lady in rural Multnomah County. I don't know if she's in Multnomah County, probably not. She's probably outside the county. Anyway, she lives on a farm with her husband and has been there for years, and she is one of the several matriarchs of Portland poetry that we're fortunate to have. And she is the one who recommends 15 lines every day. Just start with that. Well, maybe not start with that. Start with a word or two every day. 15 lines. She was talking to a bunch of poets, and she said 15 lines a day, no matter what. They don't have to be good. Just do it every day, like brushing your teeth. And I took that to heart. And this is what I wrote. And I'll let the competition. Yes. Okay, this is what came. Early music. The pearled clarity of a woman's voice on a summer morning near the water, lake or stream, it matters not. Water in the air, sweet air saturated with freshness, and the sound so pure, unceasing, the woman talking in mindless, modulated flow in some tiny place, tucked into the floor of all that sweet, delicious air, small and perfect at the steady ground of all that space. I could not find that voice if I tried. It is hidden like a spider in the wilderness of green, nourished by air and water, held eternally. And what does she find to talk about? On and on.
Thanks, Jean. Barbara LaMorticella is also one of the hosts of KBOO's Talking Earth program, a Monday night program on poetry. So if you weren't aware that there was a Monday night, it's 10 p.m. Monday nights, and they changed the schedule at KBOO a lot, but it's been there for, I don't know, 30 years or something like that. So she's one of the hosts. I mention that because she's been really kind to the Vancouver community. Portland poets and the Portland poetry scene does not always acknowledge what's happening over here, and she's had me and some of the other poets in the community on several times. over the years. So we're grateful to Barbara for the work she's doing there, and Walt Curtis too, who was her co-host there, and still is. Yeah, we love Barbara. And now we're going to hear from Louise Wynn. Ready, Louise?
Yep.
Come on down.
Thanks. I'm so glad I'm last. No, really. Usually on Friday nights, I'm with my husband teaching jiu-jitsu, and he's the sensei, so he can't skip. But maybe he'll get here. And so that's why I kept looking behind me. I wasn't staring at people, I was like, maybe. Anyways, here's my poem, On This Mountain. When the pain broke me, but I kept on. When keeping on crushed me, but I climbed on. When climbing on burned my lungs, but I breathed on. Then the light seeped through the cracks of my blindness and changed what I thought I knew. Only on this burning mountain could I see and say what I saw without even trying, which changed everything around me, even me, and the empty spaces and the seeping light and that smallest thing I had seen and said. Only looking down from this burning mountain could I see and say, peace really is like a river, and love is the answer to something, and my theory of everything is correct, and that theory is this. Tears may hurt or not, but they always dry up. Okay, still waiting for my husband to come. I want to read this about my sister. I have 4 sisters. 2 of them have had breast cancer. One died in January. And I won't read that poem because I'll cry, but my other sister survived, and so far. So I called this poem Unbreakable. 25 minutes into the conversation, she finally told me why she had really called. I have cancer, she said. Even if all the stories are about loss, the fact is no one would read them if that was all. Sure, someone starts out losing something, a breast, for instance, but we want to hear how she got it back or how she lived without it. The loss, the cancer, that's just the backstory. So if that's all that happened, she lost this breast only. Sure, someone would read it, the first person, and she or he would say, like we do when we get a bad taste in our mouth, dude, this sucks. Here, try it. And whoever we said that to would wisely decline. So the good news is my sister with cancer, she survived. She lives, so her story is tellable, though not by her. I'm telling it while she gets better at saying the C word. And so I also want to thank Christopher and Tony and Deanie and everybody. They're so wonderful. And because of Christopher, I had the nerve, the guts to submit an application to the Second Story Gallery in Camas for their series of things they do. And they accepted. So in November, I'll be showing a bunch of my photos with poems. And I'm so excited about that. So can I just do one more?
Yes.
Okay,
Please
thank you. This is so nice. This is for my husband. I just saw a black Honda driving by, and maybe that's him because he drives a black Honda. And if it's him, he's out there, he's like cussing his head off. He's like, oh, there's no parking. Anyway, that's okay. This is for him. It's called Everything's Taken. All the stories, all the pictures fit for postcards, all the songs and all the riffs syllables and the lyrics, all the poetry, rhymes and meters, all the plots and all the plot points, all the plays and screenplays, even every musical, every movie, all taken, even I Love You More Than Banana Cream Pie, and I'll Love You Till Starlings Sing the Blues. Yet, you're here with me, and still I love you. You're taken too, and so am I.
Thanks so much, Louise. And of course, one of the great things you can do as a poet is express your love for another person. And the gift of reading that for another person or giving it to another person is just one of the greatest gifts that's out there. I've both given and received, and I know. We have a couple of things that we're going to do before we wrap things up. And one of them is, earlier I was talking about poetry and saying how poetry can be both healing and empowering. We were very fortunate to be in this space tonight, in the middle of this incredible show which is about to come down in a couple of days. I think this is one of the best shows that has ever happened in Vancouver, and whenever there is a show that's really good, there's a part of me that wishes that it could just stay up forever. And of course, if all the shows stayed up forever, people wouldn't be able to have shows. This doesn't work like that. But this show had a lot of sponsorship, a lot of help from the community, and we're hoping that it will travel, so I'm hoping that more people will see it. But you'll be among the last to get to see it before it comes down here at Angst. And we're very fortunate to have the artist here tonight, so I asked her if she would just say a few words about this amazing project, and her name is Abby Davis-Harris.
Hello, I haven't seen you, so I just want to take a minute and look at you for a second. My name's Abby, and I'm the artist that created this, along with a lot of other people who sponsored me. What that means, you guys know what that means. It means money. And so it's one thing that I have an idea, but to actually make it happen is something I've only just figured out at 43 years old. So, when I was in my early 20s, like, gosh, I thought of that. Did you do it? Me at 20? No, I didn't do it. So there's a lot I can talk about. This, if you haven't had a chance to read the artist statement, it's basically LGBT adults looking into the eyes of my camera lens as if they're looking into the eyes of the person who bullied them the most as a teenager. And the reason that's important to me is because I'm a middle school art teacher, and I've been teaching for 16 years. I've heard a lot of sad stories. I've seen a lot of sad things. I was an HIV/AIDS case manager in the early 90s, and trying to sum up a whole lot into a couple of sentences. And this man who just walked in, I believe you're the husband in the blue black car, correct? Yes. And these two lovely people are in a sweet spot, so to speak, where when I move, everyone is looking at you, and I'm hoping that you'll have that experience. It's really great to be in the room when not many people are here, because it is a really reverent, thoughtful moment. And really, and then what's hanging on the wall is the narrative that each subject shared with me about who they were thinking about when they looked into the eyes of the camera lens, and they're really different. They're not what I thought they were going to be. It's a perfect example of how art helps you evolve, and me as the artist has really helped me evolve and think of things in complex ways, and I look forward to more of that. I don't like it when I'm stuck on a planet, and I know we all agree, and there's times when we're stuck and there's times when we're moving forward, and the show has definitely moved me forward. And the last thing I want to say is that each narrative is sort of like a poem, really, except for it's just someone talking to me. So I'll be here for a while if you have questions, and because I could go on, and I know I can do that, sorry. So thanks to Christopher, right? Is he amazing? We love Christopher. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure too to acknowledge Leah. I acknowledge her as often as I can publicly. I just want to thank her again for the support that she's shown to me in the poetry community, and for the reception, for allowing us to use the space. And I'm sure that there are things that are happening that she might want you to know about, and she's a little bit shy, but I asked her if she would tell you about what's happening here. Coming up, yes.
Okay, so we have a dinner on Sunday. We're calling it the Last Supper because we're going to be closed for a week and doing some maintenance. We're also having, we used to have a thing called the Naughty Niche Night. We're going to start that up again, and we're having a book signing on the 17th, which is, I'm trying to remember the title of this woman's book. She's coming down from Seattle. It's essentially How to Talk to Your Man. And that's on the 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. So come join Naughty Niche Night. We have things happening all year, so if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, you should do so. They come out way too seldom, but when they come out, you know what we're doing. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. There's going to be some more food coming out in just a minute. It'll be hot.
I know that Deanie has something that she wants to say, but before we do that, and before we thank everybody, I think that we should give Louise a shout out reading that poem for her husband. Not the whole set, unfortunately. You'll be able to see the whole set on YouTube. But I think that she read a very lovely poem for you, and I think she should have the opportunity to read it to you now that you've made it. So, Louise, why don't you come up and do that? That'd be great.
We know everything.
I told them all about you. Okay, it's called Everything's Taken. It's for you. All the stories, all the pictures fit for postcards, all the songs and all the riffs, all the samples and the lyrics, all the poetry, rhymes and meters, all the plots and all the plot points, all the plays and screenplays, even every musical, every movie, all taken, even I Love You More Than Banana Cream Pie, and I'll Love You Till Starlings Sing the Blues. Yet you're here with me, and still I love you. You're taken too, and so am I.
In your hands, as you came in, I gave you a copy of, it's actually the smaller version of the posters. So this is all of the poems that were read tonight in one kind of bound copy. And what I'm going to recommend that you do is maybe sign each other's work as kind of a tradition where you can take home all the poets, the signatures of other poets. And I have 3 copies left if some folks may want a copy for themselves. So please come up here and take one. And I'm going to keep some copies for Humanities Washington. I want to thank you all for your support. And once again, please give your business to the downtown folks, especially Leah, Higgins Theater, the other folks downtown. Let's build downtown as the arts center, and not just visual arts, but also literary arts as well.
So I want to, one of the things that I try really hard to do is figure out ways to get poetry out to more people, because most poetry readings in the universe are poets reading to other poets, right? So that's why I thought Deanie's idea about poetry in the shops was so great. So anything that you can do to get the word out about it, and the thing is, I'm not asking you to do the work. Like, if you can identify a business that wants it, we'll drive it to them, we'll bring it to them. That's basically going to be what Deanie and I do. But if you let us know sort of somebody that wants it, or if you put them in touch with us, that's how it's going to happen. And then once we're pretty sure we're at the end of the list of where they're going to be, we'll let the whole community know where they are, and people can start visiting them. I'm really hoping the businesses will be willing to keep them up at least until the end of the summer. That's what we're hoping for. And I think it'll be a great way to get poetry out to the larger community, not just people that are initiated, not just people who are writing it themselves, but everybody. And that's really what, the goal of every artist, I think, is to communicate beyond just their small circle of friends who already like what they're doing, right? So I want to congratulate all the poets, and I want to invite everybody that's here to join us in our reception. Thanks again to Leah and Deanie and Amalia for the great posters. And yeah, so please hang out, have something to eat, something to drink, and take a look at the show too if you can. And Abney's going to be here if you have any questions. It was a great night, and I hope you stick around. Thank you all very much.